So here's the problem. I bought a new elk rifle this year, and I know you're thinking, so what's the problem? It's a new elk rifle. The problem is it's 2021, and trying to come up with ammunition for a rifle is next to impossible. So my rifle's been out to the range 3 times. I put 25 rounds through it. The first time I got it on paper. So my first shot was not on paper. My second was right down there. My third was here. My fourth and my fifth. Or maybe it was my fifth and my fourth. Honestly, I don't remember. Second time I got groups that are kind of rough. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the third time my daughter and I took it out and we got some chronograph data, which was good. We got chronograph data for it. Just kind of line it up, trying to make sure you're not going to hit the chronograph?
Pretty much.
So, we now have a decent idea what to punch into a ballistic calculator to get this thing dialed in for elk season. So with the data from chuckhawks.com as a starting point, I went back and I fed my chronograph data into a ballistic calculator. And I'm using these Berger hybrid tactical OTM bullets. They have a ballistic coefficient of, what is that, 0.682. Oh, let me start again. They have a ballistic coefficient of 0.682. They're a 250 grain 338 caliber bullet. So I feed this into the ballistic calculator. I take the chronograph data I have, which gives me 2,835 feet per second, and I get a trajectory. And it turns out that chuckhawks.com trajectory data for that rifle is exactly what the ballistic calculator gave me. So if I take it down to the range and I sight it in with this target, again, point of impact, point of aim, 2.6 inches at 100 yards, then yes, I've got a maximum point blank range of 297 yards. I couldn't find a decent target for maximum point blank range, so I made my own. So I have a target here. It has 1-inch graduations. It has a 6-inch circle. So we're setting up for a maximum point blank range on a 6-inch target. It has a point of aim in red and the correct point of impact in green. At the top, it says point of impact 2.6 inches above point of aim. I got that number from the chuckhawks.com website, looking up the maximum point blank range for the 338 Weatherby Magnum. I took that number. I took the bullet, the BC, the mass of the bullet, and the speed we clocked, my daughter and I clocked, which was 2,835 feet per second, and fed them through a ballistic calculator and confirmed that if I'm striking 2.6 inches above the point of aim at 100 yards, then this rifle should be shooting... This rifle should be shooting 0 at 25 yards, 3 inches high at 150 yards, back to 0 at 225 or 250 yards, and 3 inches low at 297 yards. That means that at 2.6, if I'm striking 2.6 inches high, which is this green, at 100 yards, then I have a maximum point blank range of 297 yards. In other words, if I shoot at a 6-inch circle anywhere from 0 to 300 yards, I should strike in this vertical range right here. I took a bunch of video of myself reloading these rounds, hand-loading these rounds. You see I got 10 rounds. And these are those Berger bullets, the 338 caliber bullets. They're 250 grains. And with this load, I've measured them on my chronograph at going 2,835 feet per second. That's average. So they should be screaming out of my muzzle at about 4,500 foot-pounds of energy. At 1,000 yards, that still gives me 1,500 foot-pounds of energy. Plenty of boom to take an elk. No. It's 4,050 foot-pounds of energy, not 4,500. The thing is, I rewatched the video of myself hand-loading these rounds, and it was boring. It was so boring. It was painfully boring, me just muttering while I worked the press. And I started thinking, I don't need to show people that. People know how to reload on a single stage press. Honestly, Jiu-Jitsu 2000 has done a good job of making those videos. I don't need to do a bad job. So I'm going to cut the vast majority of that footage out. So here's the less boring version of the footage that I took, and I'm no longer going to show you. I've reloaded these bullets. These are the Berger 250 grain hybrid OTM tactical. All right, that's what they're called? Hybrid OTM tactical. They look identical to these, which is the Berger Elite Hunters. Same weight, slightly higher ballistic coefficient. I've used these. I've used this Weatherby brass. This is the Weatherby 338, 378 Weatherby Magnum brass. I've used this Hodgdon 4831. And of course, my Federal large rifle Magnum primers. I reloaded them with this, my Hornady powder measure, and with this, my Redding Big Boss 2. That's actually all you need to know. Oh, I should also say, I used this, my RCBS dies. RCBS full-length die set. That's it. That's what you need to know. I'll show some footage in here, but honestly, it's kind of boring footage. So, we have loaded 10 rounds. God willing, we're going to take these down next Saturday, see if we can get that rifle zeroed in for a maximum point-blank range. We're going to put the target out at 100 yards and try to be impacting 2.6 inches above the point of aim. One note with these cool little MCM cases, when I first started loading this round, I couldn't get them to go in the case. And I thought, oh no, because, it didn't occur to me that with a tapered round, you could just put the skinny end down. I'm embarrassed to say how long it took me to figure that out. Nothing I've seen so far out of this rifle indicates to me that I'm not going to get an ethical shot within reasonable range at an elk where I live. Last year I shot an elk at 172 yards. I don't think anybody around here is taking shots on elk out past 300-400 yards. I'm totally fine for that. But I would be a lot more comfortable if I could get a lot more use out of that gun before I actually take it to whack a Mr. Elk. So that's it. That's having a new rifle in 2021, folks. I got a rifle that's never seen anything but hand loads, and the way things are going, probably never will. So, I've got one more range trip to take to make sure that my zero's adjusted for the maximum point-blank range. And I've got enough powder and enough bullets to load up several rounds for, well, let's be honest, a couple dozen rounds for elk season. Once I'm convinced I'm on target, that I'm hitting right, I'll take it out and shoot it as well as I can on dynamic targets. And if it looks like I can make the ethical shot, I'll go ahead and take the ethical shot come fall. I've talked about this a few times in various videos, but at this point I've thrown away so much footage, I don't even know if this is still in any footage anywhere. So let me just repeat. This rifle costs between $6 and $10 a round to feed off the shelf. I'm not feeding it off the shelf. I would, but I can't find off the shelf ammo. So I'm feeding it with hand loads. My hand loads are running me about $2 a round. So one advantage of hand loading, right? I'm paying between a fifth and a third of the price that I would be paying if I was buying off the shelf ammo. I guess that's something to be grateful for. And I don't notice that the hand loads aren't performing. So that's good. I do intend to dial this thing in just a little bit tighter, make sure I've got it sighted exactly the way I want it. But so far, I'm on track for a successful elk season.
But it'll make it a little easier not to whack our chronograph. take a shot every time you say chronograph.